Well, news right now, week 2 underway for the federal trial of the 3 former Memphis police officers accused in the beating death of Tyre Nichols. Our Stephen Pimple was in the courtroom as testimony resumed today. And Stephen, day 6 picked up from Friday with one of the defendants on the stand, right?
Rudy, that is correct. Today started and contained much of Kevin Whitmore's continued cross-examination of expert witness, Second Lieutenant Lawrence Wright, the Memphis Police Academy trainer who trained officers Tadarius Bean, Officer Demetrius Haley, Justin Smith, and several other MPD officers. Now, Whitmore, who represents Bean, asked about the specific classes that Wright taught to Bean, and that because he didn't specifically teach subjects like report writing and medical assessment, then how can he know exactly what Bean and ex-Scorpion Unit officers were trained on? They then discussed the definitions of different traffic stops and the appropriate responses to them. Lieutenant Wright admitted there is no such thing as, quote, a routine traffic stop, and officers must always be on guard. But Lieutenant Wright reiterated that a high-risk traffic stop involves a vehicle officers know was used in violent crime, and they would typically know things like how many suspects are inside, the vehicle make, or what weapons they might have. And when it comes to pursuit policy, Wright said that if there's not a violent felony charge on the suspect, officers can't chase them in their squad car, but if the suspect's on foot, that's left to their discretion. Whitmore moved on to the concept of contact and cover, a protocol where 2 officers take different roles when responding to the situation. The contact officer is responsible for all interactions with the suspect, while the cover officer makes sure the contact officer doesn't get hurt and no one else interferes. Lieutenant Wright said the presence of a 3rd, 4th, or even 5th officer could impact the organization of contact and cover. Whitmore then moved on to the concept of fatigue and how it affects an officer's judgment or actions. Lieutenant Wright says MPD officers are trained to know their limitations and avoid overextending themselves. He says fatigue could cause officers to get confused and frustrated. Whitmore asked about the concept of tunnel vision, where officers experience, quote, a deterioration of cognitive process during stressful situations where officers can only focus on a specific task and can't comprehend the entire situation. Lieutenant Wright said that's the reason MPD specifically trains officers to guard against tunnel vision. Whitmore asked if tunnel vision could cause a person to focus on someone's hands during a stressful situation, possibly referring to how Bean was holding on to one of Tyre Nichols' arms during the arrest while other officers struck him. Wright said that that's something that is possible. Now, Whitmore then asked about the concept of ineffective force, which Lieutenant Wright defined as force that is not accomplishing its job, often resembles excessive force, and is usually used by officers to try and resolve a situation quickly. Now, Whitmore asked if poor training can result in the use of ineffective force. Lieutenant Wright said he did not agree with Whitmore on that, but said that in cases where poor training definitely does happen, the use of ineffective force is a possibility.